Hello, good morning. Good morning, Miss Alexis Gladstone. Thank you very much for being here today. I put out the challenge for women to show up on this conversation with me in a way that we can inspire and empower other women who are waiting to take action and waiting to really step into the forefront and step into the light and become as authentic as they can be and take up spaces in the world. Because with everything that we're seeing that's happening right now, it is a movement, and it is the time that women are being encouraged and should have that message that we're getting right now is take action. you know don't let your voice be something that's stifled by society. Don't let society keep you in that box, but step out of it. So it's absolutely amazing to have you here today. I know your bio is absolutely phenomenal. Being a coach, helping women with leadership and sales. It's something that, most of us as women, we tend to shy away from. We said we want to be leaders and we want to sell, but when it comes to really stepping up to the plate, sometimes, that instinct of a woman, we kind of like, oh, I don't want to be salesy, or I don't want to come across too masculine.
Exactly.
I don't want to. So there's that portion of it. So besides that, tell me a little bit more about yourself.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and having this conversation with you. So, as you said in your little intro of me, I do speaking, training, and coaching on leadership and sales. And my passion has always been around helping women and empowering women. I think that comes from being the only woman at the table when I was in corporate America, or being the only woman in the meeting room, and just having to do it on my own. So now I like to help women do it, in whatever form, in whatever industry they're in. I like to help them gain their power, gain, as you said, their voice,
Yes.
and excel at what they want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's every time I think about this or have conversations with women where we're saying that, oh, I was the only one in this industry. I was the
Hmm.
only one at the table. It's like, what can we do differently going forward with everything that's happening? We have this inspiration. It's always been there, but it's like really our time to really shine and not be the only one in these rooms. What would what suggestions or inspiration can you give to women who are sitting in these rooms where they're looking around, they're the only one? How can they help change that status quo? What can they do?
I think that's a great question, and I think it really is incumbent on women who have gotten to a certain place in their organization or in their business to help other women along, as I think, like you were just saying. And one of the best way, and my favorite way to do that, is to become a mentor. You don't have to be a coach, because people are like, well, I'm not a coach. Mentor is something different. A mentor is somebody there to guide people and be there as a sounding board and answer those tough questions, and answer those things that maybe a woman that's lower in the organization or in a different part, in a different business, doesn't have anybody to ask, or is afraid to ask the people that are around her. So if we all take the opportunity to mentor someone, I think we can make a huge, huge difference in what you're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's all about bringing a woman along with you, right? You get into the room and you look around you, you realize that you're the only one. Just ask yourself the question of, why am I the only one? And how can I get another woman in this room? And that stems from just looking in your organization and really having those conversations with women around, like whether it doesn't matter the position that they're holding, like ask them the questions, like, what is some of the things that you aspire to be? Do you want to have more leadership roles within the organization? And kind of help them along. So I totally agree with you on that mentorship is so important. We don't just say supporting women, and we have the
Right.
hashtags and everything, but we actually take the action to really help each other along. And I think that's absolutely amazing. But one of the things that I know sometimes, yes, we want to mentor each other. Yes, we want to, really empower each other. But one of the things that a lot of women struggle with is confidence, right?
Yes.
We're not all born with it. I can attest to myself. I don't think I'm a confident person. I struggle with it a lot. but it's something that I've had to teach myself along the way. Like just even having this conversation, I had to get out of my head, because we do that a lot. We get into our heads and we're thinking, oh, what if, what this, and all these different things. I just, get out of your head and show up for this conversation. Stay in the moment. And
Right.
there aren't a lot of women that can really motivate themselves, even though they don't feel as confident as possible. So, as someone who have done ballet, as we were having an off script conversation, for 18 years, and you have to have that confidence to show up and be amongst your peers and really perform. What would you say would have given you the confidence to do that, and the confidence to do the things that you're doing right now? And what advice would you give to women who are currently struggling with this issue?
Well, I think one of the things we do is we think as women, you're right. A lot of women, we don't have confidence, and part of it is how we were raised,
Yeah.
right? We were told, show up, be quiet, be good, sit in the corner,
Yeah.
and people are going to notice you. And that doesn't happen. We know it doesn't happen, especially in the business world. So we
Absolutely.
have to get really good at speaking up for ourselves and building that confidence. I think one of the things that you need to do, that I tell people to do and work with women on, is what is something that makes you unique? What is it that makes you stand out?
Yeah.
Because once you can figure out what that is, then you can exude that, and you can be that authentic self. You and we're talking about, we're going to talk about a little bit about being able to bring your authentic self.
Yeah.
So find how you're unique and be able to show that. And the other thing I tell people is you don't have to be good at everything. A lot of times we're not confident because I think a lot of women, we feel we need to be perfectionists.
Yes.
And we don't have to be perfect, but maybe there's that one thing that you really are good at. So figure out how to showcase that and use that and capitalize on that. And by doing that, when you start doing it, you start building your confidence, and then you're going to be more confident to take the next step or try the next thing, or that other skill that you're not quite as good at.
Absolutely.
So it's doing it one step at a time, right? Just like you said, doing this Zoom interview, you're doing it, and you're going to do it the first time and you're not as confident. By the time you do 10, you're going to be more confident, and by the time you do 20, you're not even going to think twice about it.
Exactly. It's all about building that muscle, right? Whatever shortcomings we may have, it's about building the muscle. If you want to be a speaker and you're not great at it, you have to put yourself in positions to speak, right? In order to get better, because that's the only way you get better, is by building that muscle. So, thank you very much for that advice, because there are a lot of women who are sitting down, and I know I've done it as well. We're waiting for everything to be perfect. Okay, I'm going to wait until I have the perfect microphone. Yes. I'm going to wait until I have the perfect outfit. I'm going to wait until I have the perfect background. And, we're waiting on so many things to be perfect, which instead of just showing up as you are, because you eventually will learn that. And one of the things that I try to teach my clients as well when it comes to personal styling and image consulting and coaching is that people will pay attention to what you're saying, right? So your outfit, whatever you're wearing, it should be somewhere within your personality, and at the same time allow you to stand out. As you said, find something that's unique to you and make you stand out. So you have to be able to incorporate those different aspects of yourself along with how you want to present yourself, and being able to build that confidence muscle. Now, one of the things that I've experienced myself, having worked with clients and having followed some women within male professions and male industries, is that they tend to think that in order to be powerful, in order to be successful, especially in these male dominated industries, is that they have to take on certain persona of the industry, of their male counterparts. Whether or not I've experienced women, it's like, oh yeah, everybody in the office wears jeans and t-shirts, so I would wear jeans and t-shirt as well. When it's not their authentic self, that's not what who they are, that's not how they want to show up. But they feel a sense of, I don't know if it's pressure to fit in, and as a result they lose some of themselves. What advice would you give to those women who are, are working in these male dominated industries, or industries where they feel as though in order to be powerful they need to mimic their male counterparts? What advice would you give to those women?
Well, I think you bring up a really good point, because I think that happened a lot more when I was growing up in corporate America than it does now, because there's different, talking about style, there's different changes in dress codes and things like
Yeah.
that. What I tell women, when it comes to that, is you really do want to be your authentic self when you go to the office or when you go into your place of business, whatever that is, and mimicking the man, mimicking the successful men, or the people who you think are successful, are not going to let you shine.
Yes.
So you need to, you talk about style. I know when I'm wearing something that I don't feel great in, I don't feel powerful, I don't feel confident, and I don't feel like I'm my authentic self. So I don't think we have to mimic in that same way when it comes to dress anymore, or how we speak, because as women, we bring so much to the table in terms of how we build relationships and how we see people and how we can foster development of people. So I think while it might be a little scary not to be acting like all the men in the room,
Yes.
I think if you do so and you're really true to yourself and you're doing it authentically and you speak in your own voice and in your own way, it's going to be scary at first, just
Yeah.
like some of the other things we were talking about. And it might take a while to break through, but over time, that's going to make you more successful. It's not going to be successful copying what the men are doing. It doesn't happen that way. And I also think in these times where we're in each other's living rooms or home offices or things like that, I think it's allowing people to see us in our natural
Yeah.
habitat, for lack of a better term, so we can be more ourselves, and people get to see us in a different way. And I think that's actually beneficial to us as women, because we're not in that meeting room across the table from them in the same way.
Absolutely, I agree with you on that. It's one of those things that I've always looked at. I'm like, you can be successful and be powerful. And I think with everything that's happened right now, it has showed us, as you said, being able to show up as our most authentic self, and not being, you get it. Sometimes you get into the room and you automatically take on certain personas, right? And sometimes that's what
Mm-hmm.
happened to some of these women, is that they get into the rooms and they take on these certain personas because they're thinking, this is the way I need to act, dress, and sound in order to get to that, this level. And I think it's so fitting now that women are really owning the spaces that they're in, and really, stepping up and saying that, hey, this is who I am, right? I'm going to show up as my authentic self. I'm going to ensure that at the end of the day, I'm being true to myself, and I can still be, feminine. I can still be soft and successful and feel powerful. I don't have to, substitute one for the other, right? So I think that's
Yeah,
amazing feedback.
yeah, I don't, yeah, and I don't think, well, you just said something, I can still be soft. Being soft and being feminine doesn't mean we don't have power.
Exactly.
Sometimes our power is quieter,
Exactly.
because we're not the, pound on the table or whatever. And that can be just as powerful. A calm, articulate statement can be
Yes.
just as powerful as the man standing up and, waving their arms or whatever they might be doing. So that's, this whole emotional intelligence that's talked about all the time.
Yeah.
Women, and I never like to say all women are this way and all men are that way,
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
not, we know there's a
Exactly.
blend,
Exactly.
but women tend to embody the things around emotional intelligence, which is understanding others and being able to see their point of view and understanding themselves. We tend to more innately embed those in our DNA than men do. But again, I'm not saying it's either or. So
No, I totally understand that. Would you, looking back at your, your progress from where you would have started, from ballet coming up to, building your brand, do you think there was ever a time where you felt as though you couldn't show up as your authentic self, like, like you had to take on, like, fake it until you make it? Like, did you think there were any time like that?
Oh, let me see. How much time do we have? Uh, no, I grew up here. Seriously, let's talk. Because you're a stylist, so let's talk about that. I grew up in the time, when I started in corporate America, women went to the office and we emulated what men wore. We wore suits. We were required to wear pantyhose. I
Oh,
don't even think there were ties, but we also wore these blouses with bow ties that emulated men wearing a tie.
yeah,
So it was very, and I always joked with my mother because my mother was always she actually had a boutique. So I have style. I have the whole style side of me too, that I had two wardrobes. I had my work wardrobe and I had my non-work wardrobe, and they were completely different
yeah,
because, my non-work wardrobe was whatever the fun, funky stuff was that my mother sold in her boutique that I was able to wear outside of work. Now I think, so that's just one example. I think also there's been, again, many examples that I can't think of off the top of my head, but sitting at the table, with the men, and being very careful about how I said something so that I didn't maybe offend the men that were sitting at the table,
yeah,
or
yeah.
those types of a thing. Now I look at my wardrobe and it's like, yeah, there's some things I wouldn't wear to work, to business, to a client, but for the most part, I interchange. It's changed and it's evolved, and I think the older I've gotten, the more comfortable I've been in being my authentic self
Yeah, and
and being who I am, with not that I'm never going to apologize, but with no apologies and no excuses. This is who I am.
yeah, I mean, and that is powerful. That is the message I want women to get, is to show up as your most authentic self, right? And sometimes that level of authenticity comes from knowing yourself, knowing what are some of the things you want and knowing what are some of the things you don't want, and being able to speak up. And that's one of the things that I really encourage women to do, to speak up, right? To ask for what you want, to let it be known how you feel about certain things, and not, put yourself in the background and just shy away because you don't feel
Right.
like you have a voice, and what you have to say is important, which is, like, we all have a voice. We all have a voice, and it's so important that we do show up in those moments. So, going on all of that, what I wanted to know from you as a leader, how are you making an impact, and what suggestions would you give to young girls today as to what are some of the things that they can do and start now to be able to really get into, one, show up as their authentic self, and being able to, and two, being able to make the impact and create the change that we're looking forward to in the world, that it's no longer where we're one, but it's like, it's a norm, like women in
Right.
leadership and different positions and playing different roles. It's a norm, and we're no longer looking to see who's going to be the next one, but we have a room filled with women.
Yeah, I would love the headlines to stop saying, the first female, CEO of this company, or the first woman of color is a vice president of this company. I would love those headlines to stop and just say that, you know, you know, Jenny Smith was promoted to CEO,
Exactly.
period, based on what she has to offer. So, but going back to your question of advice, first of all, I'm so encouraged by what I see with young women
Yeah.
and what they're doing. Some of the social activism, having their own little businesses, all kinds of things that I see, on social media all the time, which just gives me great hope that they're already hearing those messages. But I want to go back to what I started saying about, as women, what we can do to help others is to be a mentor. If you're young and there's something you want to do, it's okay to ask for a mentor too. If there's a woman that you admire, if there's a woman doing something that you think you want to do, if there's a woman that is acting in the way you want to act because it feels, ask if she'll mentor you. Because number one, I think it's a great honor as somebody when I'm asked, and I was just asked yesterday by someone, and those who have time are absolutely going to do it. And then find your other role models in different ways and try things that scare you,
Oh,
because it's
yeah.
the only way we're going to find out how we can make those next steps and find out if it's something we like and want to do.
Yeah.
So those would be some of my, and that's, and you talk about young women, but, that's what I do when I, in some of the stuff that I'm doing in terms of, talking with women about sales. If you're a woman in sales, you have to try things that scare you sometimes.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's all the same. It's all the same things.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where we hear the that quote that everything happens outside of your comfort zone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where
growth. Yep.
Exactly, everything happens there. And it's I think one of the things from just having these conversations, just hearing women's perspective and hearing your perspective, is to be able to encourage women on a whole to, regardless of your age, to step out of your comfort zone, to be able to really say to yourself, you sit down, you say to yourself, what are some of the things that I want to achieve, and what does my legacy look like? And whenever we think about legacy, we're thinking that you have to be this, this 6-figure, 7-figure business owner, right, with, having doing amazing things with books and, all speaking. But no, but your legacy can be how you inspire, another woman, how the impact that you have made within your work environment, how you treat other women, how you mentor other women. So think about your legacy and really, really look at how you want to show up in, within the world, and what impact that you can make. So, I thank you very much for taking up the challenge. Accepting, because one of the things that I'm encouraging when I look at it is to take action. That is the mantra for us, to take action, because once we take those actions, that's when we're able to make the impact that we are looking for, right, within the world. So I think it's very fitting right now with everything that's going on, that we are truly inspired by the moment. And it's not just the moment, but it becomes a movement and change the way women are viewed. And of course, how we feel about ourselves, and really take up spaces and not be the only one anymore. It's a room full of women doing different things. So thank you very much, Alexis Gladstone. I
love what you just said. Take up the space. I love that.
Yes.
And that's true. And don't wait until you're 100% sure you can do it. Don't wait until you have 100%. Check off the boxes of whatever people are looking for 100%. Take the risk.
Yeah. Take the risk. Take action. That's my thing. Take action. Whatever you want to do, show up, take action, and let's make the impact that we need to make within society, within the world, and change the way women are viewed and the way we pursue our goals. So thanks again. I appreciate you being on this conversation. I really do.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Oh, yes, it was. Thank you very much for being here. I really appreciate it.